There's a lot to misunderstand in this case because of, it's statistics, it's medical evidence. There's different experts who are arguing different things. And, you know, like you have one expert saying one thing and another expert saying a completely different thing. So who are you supposed to believe? But ultimately, I think people can feel like it is common sense to say, oh, she wrote on a piece of paper, I'm evil, I did this. Okay, cut, this is, we don't really need to fully understand the medical or the statistical. We can read a piece of paper. We understand what this is. This is a confession. This is her, like, in her private space, really revealing what was ultimately going on inside of her. And that to me is the unfortunate part of this story, where people do not understand what it is like to be accused of a heinous crime out of nowhere. And that's where I can bring in some personal insight. And in fact, I didn't just bring in my own personal insight for the sake of this question, but I actually invited for my podcast two other women who I know very well, who are innocent, but who were accused of harming children and spent years, over a decade in prison each, for having committed crimes against children, only to have it overturned and revealed that nothing ever happened. So I spoke to these women, and without like sort of telling them what I was looking for, I was just asking, like, when you were going through this, did any part of you feel any kind of like self blame that people are calling you a monster? And like, because I remember when I was going through this, that I was thinking crazy thoughts that I never would think before. Like, oh, maybe in the universe, everyone is supposed to suffer a certain amount, and all of my suffering is just happening right now. And so maybe this is supposed to be happening. Or maybe this, like, or maybe the fact that, like, in my interrogation, they confused me. Maybe that was my fault. And one of my friends, she said, well, I remember when I was on trial, I just thought that maybe I was a bad person. Like, I know I didn't do this, but I thought, well, everyone hates me. It must mean that I'm just a bad person and that I deserve what is happening to me, even though I didn't do the thing that they say I did. So, like, there's a lot of like the experience of being accused of a heinous crime, especially against children, is so surreal and overwhelming that like it is a it challenges your sanity. And in her case, in Lucy's case, she was given specific therapeutic instructions, which were, you are being overwhelmed by horrible thoughts about everything that's happening right now. Just get them all out. Just get them out of you so they're not overwhelming in your head. Just put them out, get them out of you. And that includes any thought whatsoever. And so she did. She wrote like all crazy little post-it notes full of everything that could come to her mind, including, I didn't do this, I'm innocent. But also, I'm evil, I did this. Because
But
this is
who can you just let us know who actually asked her to do this? Was this before the criminal prosecution began?
Yeah, so this was something that she had been doing for a long time. In fact, it's something that her friends were able to actually bring forth, that like, they had been instructed in the past to, like, if any sort of like anything is bothering you, just get it out of your, like, just write it all down. Just whatever's bothering you, write it down, get it out, and then you can sort of have the peace of mind to work through it and think through it clearly. And especially as she was going through the initial investigation that wasn't happening on the police, like on the police's watch. It was an internal investigation to check in on these doctors' claims, and they ultimately ruled in her favor, found no wrongdoing. She was still in distress. Her career was at stake, and she was in distress. So she was writing out her thoughts to get them out, and that those thoughts were then cherry picked by the prosecution and claimed to be a confession. And I push back on that hard, because it is not the case that only a guilty person would have a guilty thought. Time and again, research has shown that innocent people, especially when they are put under pressure and when they are accused, start to internalize feelings of guilt that they don't understand. And they, because we're social animals and we're interacting to how people are treating us, and so our understanding of ourself and our place in the world and what we may or may not have done is triggered and influenced by how people are interacting with us. And Lucy Letby was at the heart of an investigation that took place over a long period of time, and it was putting her entire life on the rails. And so she was in distress and was internalizing feelings of guilt. And like one of the things that, so I push back on any sense that that is a definitive provable confession, because I know from experience and I know from research that that is not the case, that innocent people can be made to feel guilty when they are not in fact guilty.